Welcome to the Lean Practice Podcast. I'm Angus, joined with Aaron and Nathan, and the idea here is pretty simple. It's three of us just talking about the profession, what's working, what's not, and what's not being spoken about but probably should be. Between us, we've seen bullshit advice that's causing courage to quit the profession by the time they're 40, and we'd like to just help put an end to that. We aren't really in this to tell you what to do, how to do it, or what the best playbook is. We're here to just show you what it actually looks like to build a practice around the life that you want, rather than the one someone else drew up for you. That's really it. Let's get into it.
Cool. All right. So this week, a little bit of a different topic. We're going to talk a little more content advice contextually. We know everyone wants to post content, but then there's a lot of fear around it. One of the biggest fears being, what are other people going to say? Pretext, pre-frame. We have seen a couple of things this week as well that made us trigger wanting to do this episode. It actually made Nathan even made a post this week about what was some of these people thinking? And we think, honestly, it's just like inauthenticity at the end of the day. Sometimes things are just out of context, which we've spoken about that stuff in the past. So we sort of just want to break it down, just be like, what the heck were they thinking? What are they trying to say? And then what would we do to get it back contextually? Because as Nath just said then, what is it? You getting into the dance is one thing and then being a dancer is another. Can you say that?
It's like what got you to the game and what would make you elite are two very different things, right? It's
Exactly.
that whole idea.
Yes.
That's why athletes often make terrible coaches because they know how to be an athlete. They don't know how to coach the thing.
Yeah, they forgot how to get there. Yeah. Nice. So that's context. That's a big thing for us. And look, straight out the gate, we're not the masterminds of all this. We make mistakes. We get it. But we've got ways to deal with making mistakes. And I think people think that they put up one post, it goes badly, that's their reputation tarnished. And it is just not the case. Like the case of being online is literally an hour event. And then you got to make a new thing. So I'm going to kick this one off and then I'll let you talk through your one, Nath, because I know the one you're going to talk about. So great advice this time round, but I just don't even know how to take this. Okay. So the advice was, if you run a $49 offer on Facebook as an advertising thing, you're probably going to get leads, like more leads, but they're going to be lower quality. We don't need to talk about that. It will, because they're there for a discounted offer, your retention of those patients will be lower. Typically, that's what they see. So sometimes having a $49 offer is actually a bad thing because you don't get the retention on the back end and you'd be better off with a more expensive offer up front to get higher quality leads. I was like, okay, interesting. So then I went on Ad Library, looked up his clinic. He runs a $49 offer. And I'm like, brother, the advice is good, but can you sit there and say that and then have the thing that you're advising against? And I don't know if there's more history to this because I've seen other bits of advice that have gone out there that have absolutely ruined someone's business. But it's just like, what are we talking about? What's going on with some of this content? Nathan, that math one that you sent me the other day, my ears and eyes were bleeding. I'm not joking. It was the worst minute of my life. Tell me about it.
It was one of those ones I think I literally opened the DM to you with the words, I just want to ruin your day for a moment, and sent you this thing. Now, of course, I want to be polite because, he's not wrong. He's just so far from right in this content, right? So there is a chiropractor. Of course, he's one of our US brethren. Make America great again out there. It always comes back to me, this idea, which I talk about to patients all the time, is like, just because something is simple doesn't make it easy. And, there's this never-ending joke about chiro maths over the years. And I think this was just another case of it. Now, it was a two-part video. And ironically, the first part, because I went back and I was like, I need to see the pre-text for this, isn't actually that dumb. It makes perfect sense. It was talking about if you have an associate and you're going to pay them a flat rate, $100,000 a year, what do you need to make that hit a certain revenue percentage where it's very viable? And so he was breaking that down. He was breaking it around across a month as well, because originally when I first saw the video, it was like, if you want your new grad to easily see 400, and I was like, how many new grads are seeing 400 a week these days? I don't know if that's a thing. It was 400 a month, which is very viable, right?
How many actual practitioners are seeing 400 a week? Let's start there.
I know a couple, maybe.
Yeah.
Across the world, all power to. The point though was I was like 400. All right, cool. But then this person's like, say they're at 300 now. And so they're seeing 10 new patients a month, they're getting 300 visits a month. So therefore, their PVA is 30. And when you're just like, maths don't math, at all. I get, again, PVA, as we have there, I believe there was an episode on it where Angus had an aneurysm around the idea of PVA and just had a full mental breakdown and tried to knife people in the comments. But the idea, of course, that PVA, obviously the whole idea is, what's your average visits per patient, which we You and I do agree that lifetime value is a much better thing to understand. Again, I understand, like, you can never get a true value for it, but that's not the point. The point is that you can't have a month, like the monthly PVA does not work like that. Like, that is a wild generalization for a start. And then his answer was just like, so if you want to get them to 400, just add 5 new patients there, still do that. Now they're doing 450. Or maybe they just take up their PVA to 40. Now they're seeing 400. And again, it's not that the maths is wrong. It's just simple without context. It ignores the whole idea that for most practitioners out there, they're like, oh yeah, what I need to do is just see more new patients. And to do that, I just need to think positively. Power of thought. Let's get Tony Robbins out here. Oh, like every practitioner is trying to see more patients. Oh, I've never thought about just seeing more patients.
Yeah,
How is
dude.
that meant to
All
work?
you need apparently is a whiteboard and a red marker, and you just write the maths out, and then you're there.
And
300 to 400, done.
Yeah. And then let's just ignore churn and everything else that comes into the process. It's like once they're in the practice, they are there for life. They never leave. They never fall off care. Again, it's not wrong. It was just redundant. Like, I think some people have taken the concept going around. I'm going to use the word because we're going to get cancelled anyway. People have taken retard maxing to the nth degree out here, right? Like, particularly in content. I think that might be what we're seeing, is that people are taking this concept too seriously and then trying to put it into content.
Yeah,
because I just
and look, we're gonna come around and unrip a lot of this, but it's just like, as you say, it's like sometimes when they say Instagram's not real, this is what we're talking about. It's like there's just because if you think back to that, it's like, okay, first of all, increasing your new patient flow by 50%, so from 10 to 15 per week, is exceptionally hard. Even though he said, "Oh, that's easy." Okay, I wouldn't have a business if that was easy. Secondly, increasing PVA, if I just indulge in it actually being a thing, he said go from 30 to 40. So a 30% increase in PVA with the change of a whiteboard marker in a month. If a company, let's say Toyota, wanted to increase the cost of their cars by 30%, they would have to make a new car. They wouldn't just be able to increase the price of the same thing. That's what I don't understand. And that's where I think the context is missing, because it's like, oh, just do the same thing but get an extra 30% out of it. What the fuck are you talking about? You can't do that. It doesn't. The maths. The maths work.
See, aneurysm.
The English doesn't English, but the freaking like the real life situation. Because I know there's gonna be people who take that away and then take that math to their associate and be like, "Hey, you just need to go from 30 to 40 PVA," and it's like, now the associate cops it.
So we can do that, but then how do you do that? Also, like, if you're going to go from 30 to 40 PVA, like for an average chiro clinic in their maybe first year of care, a 30 to 40 like visits in a 12-month period might be so, but a lot of clinics wouldn't even do that, right? And like someone who's then headed to more of a maintenance, even if your maintenance was fortnightly, let's say, you'd have to have a weekly PVA, basically. I mean, weekly maintenance, and people saying that to have that level of regularized PVA. It's one of those ones again where I'm like, guys, this isn't like the only way. And like I have a relatively good PVA myself, and like we said, I've had a lot of time to figure it out. I've had 6 years in the practice, and mine probably sits in that sort of 30 mark. But again, it's so like, does it, doesn't it? Like, what's the value, really, right? But the point of the matter is, you need years to really figure that out. If you had like a new associate and they're 6 months in, and you're like, your PVA needs to be 40, they haven't had enough time, unless they're seeing people 5 times a week, which isn't happening. I've never seen a clinic where that's happening, even though people like to betray it online. So it's a non-thing. Now, coming to the other side of that, this is the thing that annoys me the most. I'm also like, fair play to that dude posting. Like, he's out there, he's posting, he's looking pretty jacked. There's a hint as who people might say. So I respect that. I like we all like a saucy brother, right? Like, so like, respect that. Let's be honest, getting jacked is for the boys, not for the girls. They don't like it. But the point is, he's out there posting. He didn't think. He just posted. And I have to respect that to a level, right? And there's probably a bunch of people. I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the comments. Again, I'm going to get in trouble again today for the second time. I was like, if it was a female chiropractor, there would have at least been 15 yes queens in there. He might have a couple of yes kings in there. I don't know. But like, sometimes I see this content and then I just see the circle jerking of friends in the comments just being like, this is genius. I was raging about this with my good friend. Shout out to Dylan from Coogee Beach Fitness Club. Me and him are like, Like you'll get this call, it's just, I got to talk some shit to you about something. He's like, brother, let's go, right? We're the tea masters. But all this reminds me of right now, there was a meme that went around because this woman actually said this on a podcast a couple of months ago. And I know you're ready for it, Angus, because I think you've seen it. But if anyone who didn't hear it, this guy's like, what's the number one advice for being passionate about your business? And this woman dead set, looking to the camera, went, don't love your job, job you'll love. And the guy was like, oh my God, that's so profound. And both of them needed to be put down, like straight away. But it's just like, that's the level of content we're at.
We shouldn't be doing these on Thursdays anymore. We need to go back to a Tuesday. By Thursday, we've lost all filters. Unfortunately, we've hit retard vaccine, putting people down, and what was the other one? The yes tweets.
Yeah. Listen, Thursdays are going to get raw.
Yeah. So, all right, there's one more that we've got to go through. I think it's the funniest one. I think by far the funniest one, and I'll let you deliver the punchline. But this was the post. Why finding your niche is lazy and what to do instead. Basically goes through and he said, marketing girls tell you that riches are in the niches. You should niche down. Heck, I used to think that too. Then somewhere along the way, they realize a niche has no money. They're actually not that good at helping that person XYZ. The alternative, identify the dream patient. Not some obscure segment of the market, a person you can picture who lights up your day, what transformation deeply fulfills you, XYZ. Speak to this person in your marketing. Nathan, say the line, buddy.
That's a niche.
Yeah,
it's the same fuckwit. Like, yeah, it's the same thing. It annoys me so much because I really quite like the guy that did this post.
I think reading this now, hang on, reading this subjectively, I'm like, did he post this, or did someone else post this on his behalf? Because this is
like, there's a legitimate question: has he automated this too much in Claude, and it's just caught him out? Because, and like, I am aware, and again, I'm going to give away who this might be. Just had a third child. Maybe he hasn't slept. Like, maybe he's not sleeping. True. Like, I'm going to give him every benefit of the doubt. But it's literally him going, nah, niches are dumb. Here's what you should do instead. Find a niche. The quintessential niche complex, which was explained by a number of people, but really summated beautifully by Dr. Angus Pike, shout out to the man Myth, is just like a niche is the people you get great results for, the people you like to work with, and the people that you can afford to pay you. The holy trinity of the three-legged stool. He literally just says that, and then's like, so don't do a niche. Now, what he might be trying to illustrate is people jump on an idea and a complex without actually figuring it out. I know a lot of people that graduated. People don't realize when I first graduated, I was like, I want to be the number one pediatric chiro, because it was like the big thing was like, if you didn't do pediatrics, you were like a detriment to society as a chiropractor like 15 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I'm all in. I did all the training. I worked with some of the best chiros. And then like I was working in a pediatric focused chiropractic clinic and just turned around one day. I was like, don't book anyone under like 5 with me anymore. I don't want to see it. I don't enjoy it. You guys are better at it. I'll take the active kids and I will work with the parents. And my patient base at the time was like active kids, female footballers, and 7-foot powerlifter strongmen. Like those are my vibes. And I had to accept that I had opted into a segment because I thought it was the thing rather than it being the thing. So if that's what he's trying to say, like, don't pick it just because you think it's good, actually figure it out. But the way it's illustrated is still don't do a niche.
Yeah. And look, there's, as we said, none of the people that have actually spoken about do we dislike. It's just like, we usually like them, and then we're like, what the was that? It's a whoopsie, we think, hopefully, because there is, you got to be different in your audience. You got to have your thing and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's just an attempt at having a different thing. You know, it's like, oh, everyone thinks you need a niche. I'll say the opposite, but then circle back and say the same thing anyway. So you need to do these things to get attention. But it's just like, I think the biggest issue I have with it is like the inauthenticity of it sometimes. When it, when someone posts something and it doesn't make sense, it doesn't align, and it's like they're trying to be different. And it's like trying to be different is taking you away from what you're good at. And that's not worth doing. So I do want to move now into the positive side, because as we've said, chiros, genuinely chiros are like fearful of posting online because they're worried about getting ripped on. We've just done 15 minutes of ripping, so let's do some unripping.
Luckily, not all of those were chiropractors.
Exactly. So let's talk through the idea of the fear of posting, because I get this question at least every other week, and it's like, how do you get over the fear of getting on camera and posting? My simple answer for this is you just don't have, like, if you're obsessed with something, that'll make you do anything, even if it's uncomfortable. Like that's kind of the answer. It's like you're not obsessed enough. You don't want it enough. My mate has a builder, literally messaged me today because I just answered some questions. And he's like, oh, I want to post. His complaint is always time. So I can never have time to just like film some, how easy a builder's page would be is like film the hole in the ground and then film the built house. It's like, that'd be sick. But it's like, I never have time. And I'm like, you just don't want to do it. Like, stop. You think you need to do it and you think it's a good thing, but you don't want to do it. So don't do it. That's different to a fear where it's like, oh, I don't want to get on there, but it's still just like an excuse. You don't want to solve a problem enough. So you're letting it get in your way. So for me, the answer is just, you haven't thought deeply enough about the problem you want to solve and the passion that comes with that, and like got obsessed with it and then just done it. And that's what's stopping you. It's not actually anyone else's opinion. It's your own opinion about how committed you are to fixing that problem. Nath, you've been posting longer than I have. What's your experience been over the years?
Oh, yeah. Listen, you are going to get ripped on, whether it's to your face or otherwise. It's going to happen. And like the number one thing for most chiropractors is the people ripping on you weren't going to buy from you anyway. So sweet. It's the same idea with the unsubscribers on your mailing letter. The more people unsubscribe, the less people you have to waste your time, energy, and money on. So like the whole point of posting is to get, especially with a brick and mortar business like we all have, is to get a core following that fills your practice. Like you don't need that many people to have a busy, successful, profitable practice. It's like I don't have a huge following. I've got just over 2,000 people on my main. I think I'd like similar on my chiro page, right? And yet the practice cranks, and we get a lot of new patients from it. Now, for my launch page, am I trying to get that bigger and bigger because we're expanding? Of course, yeah. But like, it's just reps. I remember when we were doing a lot of filming days in the practice with all my new associates, and I remember some of them just having full breakdowns. Like we were doing proper film, like I got videography in this is the early days, filming things out, paying good money. And one of my associates just had a full-on mental breakdown on there, just menti beat it on thing. Couldn't say the word and thing. And like the joy of videography is they can take all your little stuff ups and build it into something that actually looks great. So it was good. But he apologized. I was like, bro, it's not that big a deal. And I've had multiple said that, how are you good at it? I was like, I'm not good at it. I just don't care that much. And I've done it thousands of times. Like I have videos of me like trying to do ads where it took me like 100 takes to get a 20-second thing across. When I cared too much, like the imposter syndrome early on was so big that I cared what everyone thought. And then I just started doing like less quality. Like I didn't need the best camera. Like just what came up to me and the people I was looking after, I just threw it out there. One of my biggest posts I ever had was me having an absolute rage about how the real hero of Frozen is not Elsa, it's Anna. Elsa's a cranky ass, like ice-handed bitch who tries to kill her family and gets all the credit because she's got these weird powers. Now, as somebody who doesn't have children, I know that means absolutely nothing to you. But for me,
you've lost me
finally
there, buddy.
watched with my daughter, and I was raging. I was like, this is stolen valor right here for like the sister. And of course, a lot of people I was looking after at that time, parents, were just in the chat as well. Some of them defending it, like it had nothing to do with chiropractic. But you better believe in my practice, people were like, yeah, I 100% agree. Like in practice, I was like, yeah, man, like stuff Elsa. By 2 or 3, we're back on board. But number 1, that woman needs to get over herself. So you just got to keep doing it. And you can get stuck in the negative. I used to do a weekly rant, and then I realized I was looking for I was looking for bad stuff. And so there's a line where you have to be like, all right, now I'm just trying to get mad for the sake of it. But I just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. You just start talking. Even these days when I do content, I use AI to build. I built everything into it. I built out my core things, core equation. Shout out to Angus over here who built that. I filled it in and I get little things, and then I just basically get the concept and I go raw from it there. Because I'm at a point where I don't need the full script a lot of the time. I have had enough time where I'm like, all right, I know what I'm trying to say here. I know what I want to do. And I still like taking advice from people like yourself to do it better, but I know what I do. And I just hit post. I do a minimum, I use Veed these days. It is a minimum of little editing and go. It doesn't have to be that fancy. Like I think you talked about the concept. You just need to get your first 100 posts out there and then see what happens. You just got to do it. You just got to press send. I'm not sure when this will come out, but on the 4th of August next week, I am part of the panel for the Transition to Practice webinar from the Australian Chiro Association. So this is all our 5th years or, 4th years trying to get ahead. And there's probably going to be a bunch of new grads in there as well, talking all things, how do you get going? And I've specifically been put in the part that is marketing and like branding, self-development type stuff, which again, I don't think I'm the best at by any stretch of the imagination. Apparently people know me well enough that they think I have something to offer. The inside line here is I got sent something, and shout out the ACA for constantly being open to feedback. And they're like, this is the download we gave, or the outline of the download we gave people on how they should get going in a practice. And one of the correct things was before you start in a practice and when you're going through contract negotiations, you need to find out how much self-promotion or marketing you're going to be expected to do for the practice. And my feedback was, you can get rid of that part because you are 100% expected to do it. There's no ifs, there's no buts. It doesn't matter if you have a full patient load when you start or nothing. You need to do it. In fact, to try and have it in your contract to take out that you need to market yourself is condemning you to probably dropping out, because you never learn the skill that grows a practice. So you are stuck in this practice no matter what happens because you can't do it. Like, it is the skill you have to learn. And so ACA took that on. They've changed it to be like, you will have to do this. As I've said to people before, just because you don't like these things doesn't mean the marketplace has to care. So it's just a fact. It's just the fact that we have to do it. I know you didn't go to uni. I didn't go to uni to be a content creator, but you have to do a level of it to get yourself to a point where you don't really have to do it that much anymore. And if you get yourself to a point, especially if you're like a single operator, you're happy, you're busy, you don't have plans of expansion, you just want to stay busy, take time off, bring locums in, you barely have to do that much. But usually what happens, and this tirade's coming to an end, but it needs to be said, is exactly what Angus just said, is you get so passionate about the thing you're seeing, whether it's women's health, men's health, athletes, pH, whatever it is, that you can't help but want to post and talk about it. You're unhappy about the questions that you get from clients, that people are missing out on the information, and you have to talk about it. So it becomes even easier, but you only get there by doing the work. You're all happy.
And that's it.
For some, yeah. I see all these new grads, they're real happy to post about them punching wines on the weekend or going to raves. Then find the fucking ravers, right? I mean, I was about to say something that would definitely get me cancelled right now, so I'm going to just say that. But I was having a laugh with the patient the other night about things we may or may not have done when we were 18 to 20 in the rave scene. And I was like, these kids don't even know. Geez, I'm so glad there wasn't videos around back then. But the point is that spending long days, need a lot of jaw work for reasons we won't go into. They've probably got money because they're buying certain things, right? Prime demographic. And in my practice where I'm playing predominantly loud rave music, they probably love the vibe. So again, if your thing is that you love food and wine, make that your thing in practice as well. That you're like, well, health the thing, but also they can give you a great recommendation for a good steak. Rant over.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, I think the thing you nailed there was like the imposter syndrome, which we'll go into a little more. The imposter syndrome comes when you're not being authentic, I feel. Anyway, like you're talking shit. That's what you're doing. That's what imposter syndrome is. For some reason, you've built up an expectation in your head and someone else's head that you're better than you are, and it's like you've created that yourself. I think maybe that's where these posts come from. You know, these random ones that we sort of spoke about at the start that were just like, what was that? But if you then talk about, okay, well then imposter syndrome, how do you avoid that and not create that sort of environment? You can't suffer imposter syndrome if you just talk about things that you know. That's it. Like, you don't blow it up any more than that. I have a great example of this kid. His name's Ben Welsh from, I think he's over in the UK. He is a student who has posted it 18 times. He gets a whiteboard. He gets like 3 or 4 words that sort of sound the same that he's obviously just learned from uni. He draws it and then he explains what the difference is between the 3 things. 18 posts, 5,000 followers. Unreal. Like, talk about imposter syndrome, a student posting about anatomy. Like, anyone would be like, no, I can't post anything. I don't know anything. This dude's just talking about the stuff he learned in class that day. And it's like popping off. And I can guarantee you this guy, when he goes out into the world, he's going to crush it because he's already so far ahead of a lot of people who have been out for 10 years. So it's like with imposter syndrome for me, it's when you are talking shit, you're not being authentic, you haven't worked out your voice, what you're passionate about, what you know, because a lot of the stuff you talk about is lived experiences, you know, so it's like we're just trying to help a version of ourselves in some extent all the time, even with chiro, you know, like I won't use the rave example there, but maybe you've had a sore jaw in the past and that's why you know what they need to do to get rid of the sore jaw. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you've lived that, you would know it. So then you can talk about it because you know what the experience is. You can actually make people feel that as well. Imposter syndrome, Nate, just before we move past that, what you would have spoken to so many people about this because it comes up all the time. Tell me about it. Tell me, I've just dropped my opinion. Give us yours.
Yeah. Listen, it's a big thing, right? And I think it's predominantly profound in healthcare, right? Because, I mean, particularly in healthcare where we largely just use our hands and our mind to help people, right? In terms of we're figuring it out and then we're using like simple interventions. It is, one of the highest predispositions for any industry for imposter syndrome is healthcare. I have a entire 30-minute talk on it in the launch on mindset imposter syndrome, going through the different styles of imposter syndrome. You have your perfectionist, all these things, but everything has to be at 100%. So end up with 100 different tasks all done at 80% because nothing's perfect. Let go. All these different things, and I even have I could probably share it if you're really desperate. Let me know, and I'll link it to it. I built an entire online quiz that tells you likely what type you are and gives you some basic outlines of how you reframe certain things. Right? It's a big thing. My number one has always been you only have imposter syndrome because you actually care. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't feel a problem with it. I think imposter syndrome is actually a really positive thing as a reframe because it tells you care enough to have a level of uncertainty. And having a level of uncertainty will always mean that you're doing the right thing. You're not saying the thing you shouldn't say. You're not doing the thing you shouldn't do. You're only ever acting with integrity and with someone's best interest in heart. But again, the way you, like you said, the way you further prove it is just you only talk on things that you either have direct knowledge of, lived experience of, or like you said with Ben, as you're learning, they're coming on the journey of you learning. So you can be open about the fact you don't know yet, but watch me as I learn these things. People love coming on that journey. It's the same with like a new grad in clinic. Patients don't necessarily care that you're a new grad. They're working with you and work as long as you show them you care. It's easy. And so some of these videos we talked about before, for some of the people, maybe it's because they're just getting into this foray and they're just going through real basic concepts and they're trying to bring it out. I always want to give people credit of the doubt because we know doing this stuff can be hard. And so maybe we're going to see their journey come up and maybe they're going to do a reaction video to their own video at some stage and be like, yeah, all right, let's talk about what we actually need to talk about rather than this was an oversimplification, right? So yeah, I think it's absolutely a thing. I think it's actually a really good thing. I think there's things that can support. Like always, if you want to know more about it, follow me, shoot me a DM, and I'll link you into stuff. I'm happy to throw that out there. But I do think it's a really important thing because when I was mentoring, like in group settings, all of these new grads and final year students, it is the number one thing that comes up. More than technique, more than how do I build a practice, was like, how do I get over the imposter syndrome? And it seems a lot of people are willing to sit there, not do the work, not get the success, and blame everything else because they were never able to sit in, reframe the imposter as the good thing, and work with it to move forward.
Yeah, because it's like, to me, all we're doing is talking. Like, you only have to be one step ahead of someone. So Ben, this student, is one step ahead of the general population who don't know what osteopenia is. So he's just explaining that one thing. And it's like, same thing in practice. That's all you got to do. You just explain the things that you know. And some things will perform better and you do double down on those things. But then I think there gets a point where you double down too much that you've actually lost track of where the original point. So now we're talking getting into the game and then being a cut, like the playing the game thing from the start. What was that again? What was the thing to get the advice?
What gets you to the game doesn't get you to the championship, or what gets you to the game doesn't make you elite.
Yes. So it's like you got in the game with that piece and it got a bit of traction, and then you followed it all the way through. Now you're elite because it's getting better and better views, but you might have swayed so far away from the original thing that now it's like but the context is completely gone. And I think that's what happens when people chase those metrics that maybe necessarily aren't as important. It's like, oh, yeah, more likes, more comments, more views, but it's like, now the message is shit. And you go back to basics and stick to the thing you know.
Yeah. And also, like, a lot of those metrics, if you are true brick and mortar, you're not doing anything online, don't matter that much. Right? Like, if getting a bunch of following and people watching your content from the UK when you're in Sydney is dandy, but it don't help that much in terms of filling your practice. And so we can get lost chasing metrics that don't matter. And that's just like that's why you've seen a lot of these crew that did get big followings have to convert into some kind of, they've got to sell something, some kind of product. And if you're lucky enough to want to go down that pathway, so be it. that most of those people didn't do that as their initial intention, or they just timed social media to perfection and lucked out on that more than anything else. But if you're just starting now, you have just as much opportunity in your area to be that person. And the other thing is you probably have more opportunity because, as we just said, so many people don't want to do it. So you can just own it.
Mm.
When I came to Perth, like especially Fremantle, and I think I've talked about this before, Fremantle is a heartland of pediatric and family chiropractic. There's a chiropractor, like within 5 kilometers of me, there's probably 50 chiropractors. Yeah, probably. And like really good ones, most with really busy practices. No one was really doing sport. So I walked in, promoted myself, and I got real busy real quick because I just owned that. Did I still see family? Absolutely. But I owned strength and power as a chiropractor. And people even moved from other chiropractors to me because they were like, oh, that guy does the strength and power stuff. I don't think I was that much different to the person they were seeing, but they knew I had knowledge. So even if you're arguing like everyone else is doing in my area, they're not you and they don't have the passion and love that you do. So just be you and your people will find you. Like, I know,
Yeah.
I know I'm giving advice that's like, it's simple, it's not easy again, but it is actually quite simple and easy. You just have to figure it out, start doing it, and not stop doing it. And it always works out.
Yeah. That's it. So it's just like it, because you can have two different people who have different versions of power as well. So like maybe a sprinter versus a powerlifter, different. Like they've got different mindsets around that. So because the other thing that we just sometimes forget is that people just like you more than the other guy. That's fine too, like, and they follow along for that. That I would even say just having someone like you a little bit more than they like someone else probably improves patient outcomes as well. Just because they like you, even if it's placebo or whatever the hell you want to call it, it's like the people are allowed to like who you are as a human. So if you just show up as a human, show the things that you know already from lived experience, and just be consistent and authentic with it, I can't see how it's not going to work for you. Like you just got to keep showing up because when you're in practice, that's all you are as well. If you're practicing and you're pretending to be someone else, there's a time limit on that. I think that's not new news. So it's the same thing online. It's literally just an extension of what you do inside the practice online on a phone. That's all it is. And the fear, I think, just comes from it's obviously it's inexperience, but then it's also the haters. So we can go into the haters. I've had like as you grow, you get more. And some people will argue and they'll say, oh, it's good to have some haters because they're always the first ones to comment. It's good for engagement. It'll make it go further. Cool. I'm on team, don't waste your energy on those guys. So the quickest way to deal with someone is you can literally just block them and they will never see your stuff again. Even if they make other accounts, they will go. So I had literally the last month I've had this guy just like lingering around my account. He's been all right. I've dealt with him a little bit. And then he just pissed me off on Monday and I blocked him. And now I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's gone. It's the same thing in real life. If you were talking to someone you didn't like and you just wouldn't go and talk to them again, just block them out. So there's a difference between a hater and feedback. Like if you've made a post that's dumb and they're like, that doesn't make sense, that's feedback. If they're just like making up points and pulling shit out and they're always the first one in commenting, just get rid of them because all they're going to do is bring on more of those types of people. I don't know why people don't think you can just block people. It's a thing. And it's fine to do. Everyone does it. I think it's like one button. You push the dots and then you push block and then they're gone. Nath, talk us through your experiences.
I'm saying, right? Like it's funny. I remember I was doing a lot of content at the same time as a good friend of mine who's an osteopath. And I don't know how, but he got so many haters, even from his own profession, just because I think he was trying to, step out of the tall poppy. I was like, I just don't seem to deal with it. Now, I think he had a more active through I seem to attract people like me that are like, yeah, nice work. More likes and shares rather than like big comments. But when I would say the biggest place I've seen haters is more on ads, right? If you're running ads, you practice, you are going to get someone that's just like, you guys kill people, you do this, you're the worst, all sorts of stuff, right? And so I just do you like you don't waste. Again, it's like the unsubscribe button. Just block. I don't have to again, if someone's giving a legitimate challenge on something and it's like active and open, I'm here for it. I mean, I have the same thing with my like channel and creation event. Like I will follow people because I think they're giving good content. But if they start going down avenues that's just like biased, negative things, I don't need to see that. I don't need to watching crew like there seems to be a move again, like people reviewing, people putting up stuff that are doing more, I'd say, like energy-based techniques, largely non-chiropractic techniques, but people are doing, like, what we probably think of network and NET here. Externally it looks woo-woo, maybe, but it seems like a lot of people get good results from it. So who am I to argue in a world where pain is such a subjective and emotionally driven concept? But just trying to like fletch content because you've got a bunch of like other crew in your comments that will shit on it as well is just like lowest common denominator stuff. And whenever I say that, like it icks me in a way. I'm just like, I don't need this in my channel anymore. Doesn't matter how good your other content is, you're not my person. Now, for them, that might be a good thing too. They're getting rid of someone like me that would never buy from them. So maybe it's a good strategy, but I just don't think it's like that hard. I don't love it either. I have definitely wanted to a few times just tell someone to politely go outside and play hard and go fuck themselves and like all those kind of things. But don't waste the energy. Just like block, move on, and find the people that are in there. And again, don't only surround yourself with yes people, but surround people that like their challenges are helpful and legitimate, not just for the sake of it. What was your thing the other day? It's like the first thing they do is bring up the fact that like the original chiropractor was X or Y and this happened. And it's just like, brother, do we really want to go to like some of the origins of a lot of medical stuff where like we're ripping out frontal lobes, the hysterectomy is called that because that's how you stopped a woman from being crazy because you took the hysteria out of her. Like, I feel like a lot of professions like to, we're not tarring with the same brush and we're ignoring the evolution across everything. Even the most traditionalist subluxation based chiropractor has still vastly evolved from 120 plus years ago. So let's all just have a coconut smile and sit the fuck down, right?
Yeah, that's it. And so to then play the pro side of haters, because some people do recommend you just like leave them because they're good for engagement. If someone engages with your videos, so comments is a big thing, which will help drive engagement on a video. A hater will always comment because they want to get their opinion out there. So that's why like people are like encourage the conversation because that will help your videos go further. Again, brick and mortar, we're not online. It's not worth your energy. I don't think you're going to get a huge community involvement from, North Fremantle because it's all over the world. You get some guy from America, some guy, they've all got different backgrounds, different opinions. It's just like, that's why for me, it's like, you're not an online business. It's not worth your time.
Yeah,
so for me, it's like, yeah, like why? That's why people say do it though, because it does get more reach. And if you can handle that and stomach that, great. If that helps your business, great, go for it. Applying that contextually to what we do, not really worth it. Then just to touch on as well what you mentioned there. So cold ads will get more hate, without a doubt. The reason for that, just so people understand how this works, your cold advertising or paid advertising is a cold audience. So you put a ring around a certain demographic of people and you just say between 18 and 65, I'm going to pay $100 a day and I'm going to make sure they see my videos. You are the equivalent of the guy selling environmental packages on the street saying, sign up and give me $50. That's the exact same thing. So the guys that you know the feeling, you walk past one in the shopping mall and you're trying to not get eye contact. You're doing your absolute best to not see these guys. That's what you are. So if you stood there and then in that instance, they like walked up to you every single time and said, hello, someone's going to tell you to piss off. Like that's just the reality of it. So with paid advertising, you're going to a cold audience. That's why it can happen more because you're going to people who don't know who you are. And it's like cold calling. When you post on Instagram or your own organic social media page, the way Instagram works is it wants to be your best friend. It wants to go and find more people that you want to talk to. But the difficulty is if you don't know who you're talking to, it struggles to find it as well. So when the algorithm can't help you, it's because it doesn't know who the F you're talking to. And that's your problem. So it will trial every now and then, and it may miss the context of who you're trying to talk to, and you land in a bunch of people that you didn't actually want to land in. And that's potentially where you get some hate. But again, it's like the reach is different, so you don't get it as often. You can also run like paid advertising, but like to your warm audience. So these people who watch you and engage with you, that also gets less hate because again, it's like warm. They know who you are. So that's just like contextually, like the differences that can happen there. I had one other point I was going to make then. Cold, warm. Mate, do you have anything to add to that? Well, I think.
No, I think that sort of covers it. You're right. You're advertising to people who didn't expect to see you. And so you're going to get also the people that probably just had a bad day. Like almost every time I like look at someone who's commented, 90% of them seem like they're bots, and then probably 10% seem like some nothing human that's got nothing going on, which is probably harsh to say, that just like, it's a classic adage, like if you've got nothing good to say, just move it on. Like, there was no reason to stop and do that. So it tells me a lot about where you're at. Like, always, sometimes I wanted to reply, I was like, you must be having a rubbish time there, Steve. Wish you the best. But like you said, just block and delete.
Yeah, it's just not worth your energy. I had such a good point, and I've just forgotten what it was. It'll come back to me. Cool. So then if Instagram is your friend and it wants to help you find the people, and your job then is to make things that it can help you push that. This is what I was going to say. The example was, I made a video last week about that JFK video. It was like a reaction to that one. My point was it was just a good thing that chiro was getting spoken about positively, and I thought if I left it broad, that'd be enough. What the algorithm found was it found politics. So it went right down the politics route fucking quickly. And then after about it, in terms of video engagement and stuff, crushing it. But then I was like, started to look at where it was going, and I went, nah, that ain't it. So I pulled it because it was like, that's not the audience that I want to get my video to. So that's like, think of it through that lens. It's like, that's how Instagram works. Like, it's trying to find the right lane. Sometimes if you're getting the hate, it's fallen into the wrong lane. Paid advertising is forcing it in front of everyone. So you're going to get the wrong lane naturally. And you'll get haters will comment more than lovers, if that makes sense. Like, because they've got an opinion more than someone who just likes it, they'll just accept it. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. So it's like, well, then you've got to know who you're talking to, and sometimes you just miss, like that one for me, chalk that down as a miss, get rid of it, don't talk about that topic again, politics was too heavy. So it's like, okay, then to help Instagram find your people, you've got to have a people to find. That's it. So the biggest mistake is being too broad, and going back to niches is a waste of time. Absolute dog shit. We know he turned his video around anyway, that it was just about niches anyway, but niches is the thing. Okay, so defining a niche, Nath mentioned the core equation before. That is just a framework that I sort of worked out that helped me a lot. So I can sort of speak through it without trying to get too complex. But basically, it's like a niche is made up of actions that you do. So think of an identity here. So it's like an identity is a niche. Like, so I am Nath, you're a powerlifter. Cool. What was your one? It was like you wanted to be a healthy, non-scubby dad. Basically, it was like you want to be an active, back
in the day, the scubby, the no skinny fats out here. The worst kind of thing.
So what would be
non-muscular tummy?
Yeah, what would be the positive of that? Was it athletic dad or something?
Yeah, it was like the lean athletic dad, right? They were like the strong example. So you got the negative to create the positive.
Yeah. So Nathan wants to be, his identity, like his niche is he wants to be the strong athletic dad, right? Like that's his thing. That's the avatar. That's the niche. And that's on a positive side. So to be a strong athletic dad, you've got actions that you do. So these are like non-negotiables and habits, which might be like in the gym 4 days a week, doing 10,000 steps a day, drinking plenty of water, getting heaps of sleep, that sort of stuff, attending every game that your kids have or whatever. Then there's results of those actions. So if I went to the gym every day, how would I feel? How would I look? What would my wife say about me? Like, there's results from doing those things. Then when you pair the result and the belief together, the result and the action together, you get a belief, which is if I go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm going to be ripped. So it's like, I've always got time for the gym. That's a belief. Making room for my family is not a hard thing. Like, I've got plenty of time. That's a belief as well. So those things are on the positive side of the spectrum. On the negative side of the spectrum, then it's basically the opposite. So we call them scubby dads. These are the guys that aren't training. Basically, all the non-negotiables actions that the positive one does, the negative one doesn't do. They don't go to the gym. They don't eat well. They're not sleeping well. They're stressed. They drink alcohol, that sort of stuff. Doing those activities creates a result. So you got a headache every morning because you drank 6 beers before bed last night. You've never got enough time to get to the gym. You're not sleeping well. When you get home, you're exhausted. You got no time for your kids. Like, it creates these bad results. Then with those two things paired together, if you said, hey, why are you doing that action and getting that result? That actually gives them excuses. So then they're going to be like, mate, I never have time. I'm stressed. I need to pay for this family, those sorts of things. So what you've essentially got now is like two sides of the same coin, where one's the positive, one's the negative. And your job with content is to bridge the gap from the negative to the positive so that you can help people. So it's like, hey, did you know just having 3 beers at night before bed actually throws out your rhythms, and when you wake up in the morning, you're going to feel a bit shit. That's then going to make you not want to go to the gym. And it's just like one little change like that. And they're like, yeah, I do feel a bit shit in the morning. Maybe I'll stop having those bits. Your job with content is to like help people come across the epiphany bridge, which is Russell Brunson's work. And it's just like helping people change their identity. So that's what the niche is. It's like, who's the person? So in this instance, it's the dad. What do they want? Well, he wants to be athletic. And this one, and it's like, he wants to be athletic. Perfect. What's the opposite of that? Scubby. Then you just draw the lines between scubby and athletic, and you talk about those things with your niche. And Instagram, if you do this well, Instagram will go and find people who are like dads, burnout, looking at like the effects of alcohol, maybe even like gambling. Like it'll go and find people who have shown interest in trying to make that journey themselves, because you're trying to help them get across that journey. And that's really like, that's what the core equation framework is. It's like, well, you get the person, get the positive, what they want, work out the negative, and then to help them cross the bridge, you've got the results, the actions, the beliefs, and the excuses, basically. Like that's the entire framework, without going into too much depth. How was that?
That was good. 100%. I remember doing it with you the first time.
Yeah.
It's a great process. And I think and it's one, like you have said previously, you constantly come back to. I re-evolved it recently. I also went through a moment where I was like, it appears these kids have forgot, but I lifted some very heavy weights for a very long time. And I was just like, all right, bitches, let's go. Let me show you some things and put some content up. And all of a sudden, we get a few moves in a different direction. I even had the man, the myth himself, Mr. Aaron Hills, comment and be like, nice. Also, because he's my demographic.
Yeah,
Aaron is actually my demographic. And so, like, he's like, yeah, no, this is good. And I was like, if Aaron says it's good, it means I'm on the right track.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And like, so then, who would be someone that we all know that's just not that? Tell me, just give me a name, just a celebrity.
Oh, no, I could do it. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump probably doesn't care. He wouldn't know what you're talking about when you talk about like lifting and stuff. No. I'm not going to do the accent, but he's just going to be like, he's not even going to engage in it, right? So that's what Instagram's doing.
He's not going to go show him.
Exactly. So it's not going to show him your stuff, which is good. That's what you want. And I think we mentioned it last week. It's like hunt the unscribed. It's like have the hill, and you don't want Trump on your hill.
Unless you do. Unless he's your demographic.
Unless you do. Exactly.
This better not get some kind of political tag for me bringing up that name.
No, I think if we just don't do the accent, we're okay. So we'll be fine. I mean, if he watches this, we do it. A lot of people do it and they do it well. So I'm just going to let them do it well and without putting our take on it. But yeah, that's kind of the whole point, right? It's like Aaron actually is strikingly your demographic. Probably not for me though. Like even if I made some posts about it, I don't have kids. I never did powerlifting. So he probably wouldn't relate as much to the stuff that I do. Doesn't mean that he can't not like me. Like he might still be like, oh, he's a cool dude. But if me and Nathan were together, he would probably go for Nathan over me because you're more relatable.
That's it. Like this conversation with someone in practice, we had a student come observe us, Sasha, yesterday, and I was talking about something, and it was actually the topic in my launch letter, my weekly free tips out here. Get yourself on the launch. No free ad for myself, but it was the concept of rapport. And it came from this same concept we're talking about, being just mad at people talking absolute shit. And I was like, everyone talks about the big game, but in practice, the number one skill is building rapport, especially like in any appointment, but particularly the first appointment, when someone first meets you. If you can get them to trust you early, all you can do is fuck it up from there, right? This concept came, God, I'm going to get myself in trouble today. I was talking to employees and other people and thinking about, I'm long removed from the dating apps. As you know, my wife and I have been married now for 5 years, been dating for 10. Just got our 10-year friend anniversary on Facebook, which is the most important anniversary, of course. But the point is, we were talking about to a female male here, we talked about dating apps, and I was explaining that back in the day when Bumble came out, it was an unfair advantage for men. And my CA was like, what do you mean? I was like, it requires the woman to make the first move. She has to choose to contact you. And in general, with conversation, that is the hardest step to get for a guy. Once she has contacted you, all you can do from there is fuck that up. It sounds really rude, but like all you can do go wrong is just prove you're an idiot, a creep, something like that, and ruin it. If you're a legitimate person, and I'm not talking about trying to get someone to bed here, I'm just talking about to have an actual like commentary, like go meet people. You just can't stuff. It's hard to stuff that up. Content allows you to already have that trust. And then when they get into your practice, rapport, that simple like, hey, Angus, it's great to meet you. I'm Nathan, a handshake, we bring the tone in, we get the excitement. Hey, I saw that Aaron told you to come and see me. How do you know Aaron? Aaron's an absolute legend. He used to do powerlifting. I used to do powerlifting. Because Aaron's your friend and he told you to see me, now I have trust. Or I see you like playing paddle tennis. I like playing paddle tennis. Where do you play? What's your favorite racket? Oh, I see you live in this place. I used to live there as a kid. What's it like now? Like, we have built a connection. It's the concept of being overseas in a country that doesn't speak your first language, and you hear someone that does, and you're like, I don't care who that person is. They're my best mate now. Whereas back home, you wouldn't give them a second glance. This rapport idea is the cornerstone, and it's the same thing you're talking about here. We're pre-building rapport out in the ether. So when people walk into your practice, like something we talked about last week, there's no need to hard market and sell because they're already opted in. You know your product. You can talk about your product, which isn't even marketing, so you're talking about it. And the sell's just like, you already know what I'm going to say. Do you want to do it? Oh, you do. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So to draw out the journey we've been on, contextually, some of the advice that goes out there, we don't think people are bad people whatsoever. It's just that how you can, what you're saying again, prefer for the game zone.
You know what? I'm gonna make it even simpler. Not for you, but like people like, because this whole concept came from, I talk about patience with it so much, like comes from fitness and the idea that most average people want to buy the programs or take the advice of like your elite AFL player, your elite NFL player, your elite bodybuilder. But what they do now is not what got them to the dance. You need to do what got them to the dance, not what they're doing now. And that's the same concept we're talking about here. What will get you there is not what keeps you going.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so it's when you're talking about keeping you going, that's when it becomes uncontextual. And if you've sort of doubled down and followed down a path and you're chasing the wrong metrics and you've forgotten why and who you're trying to help, you end up too far down that journey. So you can always go back. The main thing being, we all make mistakes. I made one last week. We always do it. I probably made one today. That's just life. It's not going to taint your career for the rest of your life. Don't be afraid to post. But when you post, the fear of like,
fear of shame, fear of the imposter, all those things.
The imposter syndrome fear comes from putting yourself too high. It's like you're just helping someone one step back. And when you do that, the imposter syndrome thing's not a thing. You know, it's like it just goes away straight away. So just help someone who's one step behind you with the things that have genuinely helped you, build your community, and then that's going to flow into actual practice changes as well. It's really not that hard to like get going with social media. You've just got to be obsessed with wanting to solve the problem and being authentic about it.
Yeah.
And doing it for long enough.
I think exactly, like consistency always wins. I think to sort of wrap up today, I always like to give us some tangible things to move forward with. If we've got this person listening, they've had a good laugh, they're not going to report us and try and get us cancelled for all the weird things I've said today, and they're wanting to make the move. If I was at the three things they need to do, number one is if you have imposter syndrome, we're going to have to work through it. Like I said, if you want the info, DM me after this and I'll hook it up. That's easily done. Number two, you need to figure out who you care about. Now, Angus is the man to speak to. DM, and I'm sure he's happy to have a chat with you and set that up. And then number three, my biggest thing, and we'll see if Angus agrees with my top three we're running here. We might have to start running opposing threes. You said it before, Angus, and you're saying just post your first 100. If you can get over the imposter, if you can understand your core equation, just start the posting. Set yourself for a thing. Batch it if you need to, but just go for it. Just post 100 and take feedback and see where it sits. And it's okay to deviate as you're going through that 100, as you learn, hey, my demographic that I thought it's slightly evolved. I'm really feeling something over here. I'm going to slightly move to here because that's feedback. That's the point of the 100. But those are the three. It's not go do Gonstead, Cinch, ABC, or things. Those are dandy things. It's not like you should learn communication, all these things. But the simple thing is, if you're new into practice, you're new into student clinic, you're starting your own practice, you need people through the door. So there's no bad time to start. If you're in first year, you've just graduated, you're 15 years out, you haven't started, now's the time to start. Get that first 100 out there. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, beautiful. Let's put a bow on that. Well done.
Just
nice.
Hail Mary that.
Nice.